Hi, my name is Jessica Crivens, and formerly Zier, and I want to show you my portfolio. My portfolio, I want to start off with candidate info. Talks a little bit about me. Um, my professional goals, I'd like to start using my Master's of Instructional Technology. I would also like to gain my Missouri teaching license in addition to my Kansas teaching license. So when I move closer to Kansas City, I can teach on either side of the state line. Um, I would like to stay up to date and current with the technology that they have to offer for the classroom. I can do that by going to ISTE or just constantly keeping up to date with new tools that come out. Professional goals, I'd like to for sure find a job for the 2015-2016 school year that is closer to family. We have decided to move to Kansas City, and so I would like to be able to have a job when I do move there at the end of this year. Next three would be to get moved to the KC metro area, pay off the majority of all the debt that I have, as well as have children and start a family. So that's a little bit about my goals. And let's go into my articles. When Dr. Moody talked to us about our portfolios, he said that we had to have a problem with technology that we wanted to fix or solve in our own professional life. And right now, the big thing and the big debate are the learning management systems that are available. With that being said, I kind of geared my articles towards the article summaries. I geared my article summaries towards the learning management systems, what there is to offer, how to choose the right one, as well as more the learning management system that Ulysses was getting ready to choose, which was the Google Classroom. So my first one was how to choose the right learning management system. Talks about what is right for your district. Now, when you make this decision, it cannot be just the tech department and the administration. You need to actually incorporate some teachers, some students, maybe even some parents to figure out what is necessary for your school district. Also, it talks about different funding availabilities as well as what kind of technology you will have to upgrade to possibly integrate these learning management systems. The second one is build an online community with the Google Game. This teacher took the normal game, Two Truths and One Lie, which is a traditional icebreaker, and actually turned it into an online game that's interactive for like online classes that don't actually have face-to-face communication and don't have meetings and video conferences all that often. But it allows them to interact, and then if they are going through a video conference, every student can import their Two Truths and One Lie, as well as comment on whether the other people's truths or lies as they're introducing each other or themselves to each other. And then finally, create and collaborate research projects with Google Apps. This talks about how one teacher totally uses the Google Suite for education to build an online project for the kids. Everything where it is totally connected. It is also, they all have access to every part of the, all parts of the project. However, the only way that they can communicate is through Google Plus, Twitter, Facebook, email. They cannot actually sit in the same room to put this project together. And the teacher monitors the activity because whatever they choose to put the project together with, they have to use a Google Doc. And that Google Doc is so that, or presentations or sheets, so that way the teacher can monitor the activity that each student does because they are not all together in the same area. it shows that all kids have to participate in the project. So that was a pretty good article to read through also. So, um, again, this is all about the learning management systems that help us and what you can do with the learning management systems. And so this was how to pick the right one, the how to choose the right LMS. And then the other two were just how to use Google in as an LMS for the students, since that is what I am moving towards with Ulysses. So my presentations are next, and it does take a minute to load. Again, my presentations were geared towards learning management systems. And what I did was I did two different presentations. I did one on the Google Apps for Education, and I know that they look like they're really short. However, I figured that if I was to use this presentation in like a training purpose, what I would do is for each one of where it talks about Google to replace Microsoft, I could actually talk about the emailing system. To expand, make it a little bit lengthy, but as some good teachers know, all you need is a few good slides and a great presentation to put to actually make a good lecture or whatever. So I kind of went with a few slides, great presentation part when I was developing my presentations. But I figured I could talk about each one of these things for a decent amount of time, depending on how long my presentations were supposed to last for training purposes. So my first one was on Google Apps for Education, which is what Ulysses is going with, but I've seen a lot of schools go more towards the Google Apps for Education. My Prezi that I did was over Schoolology, and I wanted to pick Schoolology because Schoolology is another one that is out there quite a bit for other school districts have used. But it's not as friendly as Google. It doesn't all work together as well as Google, but it is pretty cohesive. So I wanted to do another short presentation, short slides, but good presentation. So it's another one that's pretty short. I could not for the life of me figure out how to link it like this without recording it as a YouTube video. And then the last one I did was over creating a classroom website. With learning management systems, you could use an online website or you can use it in addition to your learning management system. And I've already created one going through the MIT program. So I went ahead and just showed how to create one as well as what mine looked like as far as what I wanted or how I would show other teachers in my school what I have done. And then videos of me providing training. This was not necessarily all geared towards the learning management system. It was more kind of what I was doing at the time. I tried to keep with the learning management system, but with the students, it was difficult. For my peers, I did a Google form and creating a test using a Google form. And what I've done is I've taken my normal icon tests that I do for my computer apps kids, and I've turned it into a Google form. And I wanted to show other teachers how to do that, as well as how it also grades it for you. And so that's what my short first video is about. My second one is of me lecturing my students on cyberbullying and how they, how it can happen and how to avoid it if it is happening. What to do if it is happening. Like it says here, most of my units are flipped. So this is one of the very few units that I'm actually in front of the classroom all hour, every hour. But I feel it's more important if they actually have to hear it from me than from just a video that I have put together. And then my final one is just a lecture that I have done for my students, one of my flipped videos that I can use can go with the learning management system and easily incorporate into a learning management system. But this is me actually teaching my students step by step in a different kind of format. My extra resources are another thing that are also not quite tied to the learning management systems, but there are extra resources that could really help me in my classroom with some of the units that I've done in the past. My first one is with Yearbook and how to actually incorporate or make sure that you tag every person, which is like indexing the yearbook. And this video shows how to do that. And it's not necessarily, it's not me doing the video, but it is still a pretty good video. The next one is on digital etiquette. When is it polite and not polite to use a cell phone? The video, this guy is a very good speaker. He talks about it, and he encourages kids to put their phones away, even adults sometimes, just to put your phone away and spend time with the people that are around you. And this last one is an introduction that I found to Google Classroom and how it can be incorporated to the classroom. Not necessarily how to create it, but how to actually effectively integrate it into your classroom. My online articles that I found were build an awesome classroom website with the Google Apps. I used this kind of with my classroom website that I did, but it talks a lot more about what should actually be included with a website to make it a good website, and then how to share it with the parents. If you can flip your classroom, you can flip your district. It was a good article about flipping your classroom and how if one teacher flips, it may or may not work for everybody, but it could help multiple subjects. If one decides to flip, maybe multiple in the district could also flip, because flipping your classroom has become very big right now. And then which ePortfolio tool is best for you? I chose this one because I like the idea of portfolios. I just have never really figured out which tool is the best way without having kids print a whole bunch of pages or and putting them in a binder. This actually talked about how you could use like a photo bucket or a Google website, and why one would be better than the other. And that's why I really liked this article. And I think I may actually find a way to actually incorporate an ePortfolio into my classes for next year, depending on what my classes are. Online professional development plans. The first one, I noticed that nowhere else in our portfolio did it ask us to actually post a professional development plan that we were asked to create. So I went ahead and posted my professional development plan that we had to create. My other two are different conferences I could go to enhance and provide myself with professional development. One of them, of course, is the ISTE conference that is held every year. I will not actually be attending the 2015 conference. However, I do hope to continue to go in the future. And ISTE conference, it covers all standards because it makes sure that you want it to, it covers all of the standards because they created the standards. They're going to try to meet all of those standards and show teachers how it's possible to meet those standards. The next one that I found was also an Adobe conference. I teach a lot of the Adobe products, and I wanted to see what they were using Adobe for in marketing or even in the real world, as far as what Adobe products would be the best to make sure the students know, as well as to make sure, other ideas of how to use them, not just what I'm doing in the classroom now. So we will move on then to my reflection. Overall, I enjoyed the class, and I enjoyed putting together my portfolio. It was difficult at first because I thought I was going to be pulling for past projects, and then realized that for part of it I actually had to start over, or start from scratch. And that kind of, I don't know, I had so many questions, and then it was difficult to get a hold of anybody, but I finally did, and I got my questions answered, and it actually turned out really well. The hardest part that I had with the overall portfolio was incorporating every standard, or not every standard, but standards from each of the subgroups of the ISD, because I don't necessarily think from all those perspectives, but I can see how it would be effective, but it was hard to actually incorporate them when I don't always teach, or not that I don't always teach, but I don't know, it was just difficult to hit each of them. And I know, especially like the computer science educator standards, I use probably the same standard for almost everything, because the way that the standards were reading to me, none of them made sense except for the one or two that I actually used. But overall, I think I've put together a pretty well-rounded portfolio that will actually help me in the future. It does showcase different abilities that I've gained since I've been in the MIT program, and I've really enjoyed it. I did forget to go over the philosophy of education. Excuse me. My philosophy of education and my philosophy of technology education is not much different, because I am in the business computer industry as far as education wise, as far as teaching. And so my overall goal in philosophy is I just want to give kids the skills needed to be successful in the future. Give them the skills that they need to land a job, or and to be marketable, or be successful in college. And that's pretty much what I want to do. It's just to make them, not necessarily give them all the knowledge, but show them how to use the tools to gain the knowledge that they want to know. And then finally, my resume, which I have had some work done on it, because I was looking at some of the other ones and I'm like, a 4-page resume, how does that work? But since I've only taught in one school, and it was my first teaching job, I've only been there 4 years, I have accomplished a lot, but not enough to have 4 pages of a resume. So my 1-page resume is actually pretty well rounded, and formatted in a way that it's eye-catching. So overall, I'd like to thank you for listening to my presentation about my portfolio. Thank you.